In this class, we are going to discuss the camera that is inside the ElviRa spectroscopic system. Basically, there is a webcam that is connected to the objective of the system so that we can take a picture of the area that we are examining, or actually we can use this webcam to check the position on the sample. First of all, from this area, from the front of the system, there are two cables. One is a switch for the lamp, so you see I can turn on and off this lamp, so let's leave it on. And then there is another cable, another USB cable. This one goes into any USB port of your computer. And okay, so basically the idea is now we move into the laptop. So now you are seeing my desktop, there it is. So first of all, you have to go to my website over here in the course Raman spectroscopy. So once you're there, there is this section, software and downloads. You go here and okay, there we are. There is a camera free 2x software. So you click here and the software is downloaded. So this is a free utility. It's just basically a software to run a webcam in a more professional way. So we can do some transformation, some editing of the image. So it's very nice. But actually you can use any other one. It's just a software to run a webcam. Okay, so the software is downloaded. Here we are, so in a zip folder. So you unzip this one and then basically you install the software as any other one. Okay, eventually you are gonna have this icon, free 2x. So this will be the software to run your camera. You double click on it. Sometimes this software run in background, so it means that you have to go here in the taskbar over here. You see there is this icon, so you click here and you actually get the software over here. So when you first launch this software, you will see this in the top menu. There will be this icon connect. So first of all, you have to connect your camera, and you have to go into settings because basically you have to tell the software which camera you want to connect. So for example, you could have the camera of your laptop other than this one. Okay, so basically here where we have settings, we have video settings. On the top menu, we can choose the available webcams. So you have to check for Microsoft LifeCam HD 3000. So there it is. I click refresh, and now the camera is connected, and I can close. Okay. So right now is pretty dark, this image. It seems there is nothing. What we need to do is to adjust now the camera. So show you the operation. Okay, so basically you see here there is this level over here. This level can go up and down, up and down. So basically when this level is up, it's the camera is removed from the optical path of the objective. So it's looking inside here the spectrometer. When we put it back, it's looking at the objective. Okay, so now is up. I go back to the computer. There it is. So now I'm pressing this level, and there it is. So you see this one is the objective. Let's understand what we are doing. So let's have the pigment checker. Okay, so for example, we want to do a spectrum of the pigment checker. So let's have it maybe in this position so we see what's happening. Okay, so okay, I'm putting the pigment checker over here and I'm putting close to the objective. So for example, I want to analyze lead thin yellow type 1. Okay, it goes over here, lead thin yellow. Okay, and in the meantime we look, I will move this pigment checker closer to the objective. Remember the distance, the focal distance is about 3 millimeter, 2-3 millimeter. It's half in the middle, and so it's very small. So we get closer, and we will see that it's going on focus on the computer. Okay, there it is. So now you see the camera. So I'm getting closer, and there it is. So right now, so you see, if I slide, this one is the pigment checker. This is another pigment. So this is the lead yellow, lead thin yellow. So I'm moving into another pigment. Let's go back to lead thin yellow. There it is. Okay, I can put this closer to focus, and there it is. Okay, so basically we have a pretty nice image that is on focus. Let's discuss first the software for the camera. So basically when we have the settings, okay, clicking here, we have adjust. So basically this properties window show two tabs. The first tab is video. It collects the usual tools for editing a video image, so brightness, contrast, hue, this kind of thing. So generally white balance, in this case for example, is already, you see, is auto white balance. It's nice because I want it to be automatic. Okay, so basically this one are fine, these parameters. We move to camera control, the other tab. Basically what I want to show you here is that you see there is this zoom option. So this is the original image, so I zoom in. So this is what you have to do when you install the software on your computer for the first time. So you want to magnify this image, so that is the circle is showing in your laptop, in your image. Then if there is a little bit of misalignment, we have a pan and we have a tilt option. So here you see with the pan I can move horizontally, and with the tilt function I can move this one so that basically this the area of the objective is in the middle. Okay, so far it was already good in my computer because I'm already using this camera, so I set up the parameters. But when you install this software on your laptop, you have to check the zoom, the pan and the tilt. Okay, so we say apply, okay, close, and there it is. So we are live, and we are doing, basically we did this focusing on lead thin yellow, and now I would like to do the actual experiment and get a Raman spectrum. So what I do is, remember, I have to slide the this slider has to go up so that the camera is not on the path, on the optical path of the objective. Okay, so I do again, so we see what happens. Okay, so it's up. Okay, then we go into the software. the software is already running. I need to turn off this light, okay, because they are introducing a lot of noise. You see what the peak we saw before with the light in the lab, so the lighting is just some noise. Okay, be sure when you do Raman spectroscopy that you don't input noise in the environment. Then remember to turn off the light, the LED light of the camera. You see there is a big difference. Now we have light on from the camera, and then this is when it's off. So remember to turn it off. Generally, what do you expect from for a 1 second analysis? So the spectrum is acquired every second. You will have a noise, this signal at about 1000 counts. So this is what would be normal, and we don't have any peak. Okay, at this point we can. I'm moving the slider down for the camera, so the laser is going into the sample. Okay, we wait a few seconds. Okay, there we are. So we start to see peaks over here. So we have a peak at about 195 and another one at 430. Okay, so basically what happens is that when you do Raman spectroscopy, it makes sense to move the subject a little bit out of focus in order to have more of the sample. So it makes sense to move a little bit. So I'm moving by free hand a tiny bit. Okay, you see now, and we can check where we can get a better signal. So you see, for example, now it's getting much better. We see the peaks much clearer. Okay, and there we are. So now the peaks are more visible. There is a lot of fluorescence. So we see this large curve that is almost going to saturation at 60,000 counts. No? There is the saturation, but definitely we are able to see the peak for lead thin yellow. So if we go back to the image, you see now the camera is dark because the switch is on. So I go back to the position, I turn on my light, and you see now I see the lead thin yellow, but is a bit out of focus, which is what we expected to see. By the way, this is important. When I'm moving this switch on and off, we have a position where basically we see the tiny green spot from the laser. You see here basically just before it gets dark, no? In that area where there is the mouse. It's my mouse. So this one basically is the laser touching the surface. So it's a very small spot. And this is important because basically from this area, so we can tell exactly where the laser is. So when we have like a small region, we can know exactly the dimension of the area. Remember, basically this spot that we see here is in the order of 4 or 5 millimeters. So the diameter of the circle, we are talking about a few millimeters, 4 or 5 millimeters. So the ability to check the actual position where we see with the laser over here is very important, so we know exactly the spot. In particular, when we do small objects, decorated object like manuscripts, where we want to analyze very tiny lines, so that will be very important. Let's look at the the spectrum. So you see now I lifted the camera, so we are acquiring the spectrum, so we see the peaks very clearly. When I'm observing the object, of course there is no Raman signal going to the detector, so we don't see anything. Okay. And so this is the setup. So remember the pigment checker, the camera. Remember always to turn off the light when you are doing the experiment, otherwise you are introducing some noise. The lamp is, I mean, it's not introducing specific peaks, but anyway, it's a noise, so definitely remember to close, to shut it down. And also these are light in the environment, so you see here when I did the experiment I turned them off, so this is the actual light we have in the environment right now in the lab, because otherwise some of these lights, in particular if you have LEDs in your laboratory, will impact and even introduce fake peaks to your analysis. Okay, thank you, this is all.